Squad, what's going on, man? It's your boy KNOCKOUT360 with another video. So as you can tell, I'm in a car that makes this car vlog. You already know how it's going down when I come around. These are dirty. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. For each and every last one of my new subscribers and new viewers tuning in, man, make sure that you hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell, man, so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, man. For everyone else, you already know the deal. You should already be subscribed. Shouldn't have to even go over it, man. So I got an interesting topic to talk about here. So, I mean, let's just keep it real here. In the car community, we like to go fast. We like to, you know what I'm saying, speed. We like to break the, I'm not even going to say break the law because I'm just not even going to say that. But we like to speed. We like to go fast. We like to do what we do. And you know how we get when we get with our squad and we get with the crew and everything else. I can speak for myself whenever I link up with like all of my head turner guys. Let me make sure you guys are in focus. Whenever I link up with my head turner guys, I mean, we definitely like to have fun. I mean, mind you, some of those cars are 700 plus horsepower, go 200 plus miles an hour, so quite naturally we like to get up to the speed. If you notice anything about anything recently, particularly if you live in the South, and when I say the South, I'm talking about maybe South, North Carolina, as well as Atlanta, Georgia specifically. Atlanta, Georgia just had a huge like shutdown or major crackdown, arrest crackdown by the police week before last, if I'm not mistaken, 1st of May, something like that. Basically, they were having a huge takeover or whatever. Chargers, Challengers, Camaros, Mustangs. I mean, if you can name it, it was out there. Trackhawks, it was out there. They were having a huge takeover, which is what Atlanta does. And they said over 30 people got arrested. 28 plus cars got impounded. A bunch of citations and warnings and all that stuff was written. So needless to say, the cops shut it down. They got people for reckless driving. They got people for excessive speeding. They got people for, you know, just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I think some people was even running from the police. And if you know anything about that, you can kiss your ass goodbye if you get caught, right? I mean, once they get your license plate, it's a wrap. So that kind of brings me to the topic of, and maybe this isn't even relevant to that situation, but I know in Charlotte specifically, man, a couple weeks back, we had a huge Mopar meet where, you know, we had some of Raleigh coming down. I think we had some Gastonia, some Greensboro folks. I think we even had some South Carolina folks coming down. And it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal. They were basically doing a huge highway takeover. Police, of course, got wind of it. People were showing out, going crazy, and ended up, you know, catching some people, you know, writing some tickets, whatever the case may be. I think some people got pulled over, and sadly, there was a bad accident too. I think we lost 3 or 4 chargers, or maybe not lost. I think we lost 2 for sure, and then 3 other ones got really messed up, or whatever the case may be. My question to you is radar detectors, man. Do you believe that they work? Do you use them? What brand do you use? Now, as long as I've had my charger, and specifically this one, as well as the previous one, my V6, I've always had a radar detector in there. And to be honest with you, I've had it in there because I know what my cars look like, my previous car and what my current car looks like. I know what I like to do in those cars, and I know that those cars stand out. You know, even though those are police cars, when you think about it, like police departments drive those cars, I know that those cars stand out. And I know that particularly in Charlotte, I'm not going to say that there's some kind of manhunt or bounty hunt out for Chargers and Challengers, but a lot of the departments are, you know, mindful of what Chargers and Challengers can do, you know, especially the SRTs and up, you know what I'm saying? So they know what our cars are capable of. And I say that to say, you already know what time it is when you get in one of these cars. You know that people are looking, people are watching, right? People know that you can go fast. People know that you can go crazy. You can do what you want. So you almost have a target already on your back, particularly with cars like mine, illegal tint. I've got the, you know, the head turners markings on my car. My car stands out, needless to say. My previous car stood out even more because it was red with the black racing stripe. So you already know what type of time it is when it comes to a car like that. So in a situation like that, you would do your best to mitigate your chances of getting pulled over, whether it's for speeding, reckless driving, whatever the case may be, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? That's where a radar detector comes in. People have been using radar detectors for years. I don't even need to go into the history of it. I've had one in my previous car. It was a very cheap one. It was an Escort. If I'm not mistaken, I couldn't even find it in my Amazon orders menu because it was so long ago. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't remember when I bought it. You know what I'm saying? It was that long ago. So with that being said, it goes off at the slightest drop of a hat with everything because it's cheap. I think I paid $48 for it on Amazon. It had a bunch of reviews, quite naturally, because it's so cheap and probably a lot of people buy it. There were quite a few times where it did pick up on police officers, but more times than not, it was giving me a lot of false alerts, man. I mean, KA ban, K ban. I mean, you guys already know. A bunch of BS, man. Bunch of BS, a bunch of false alerts. Every now and then, it would pick up a laser, and if you know anything about laser, to my understanding, if you hear laser on your radar detector, you can pretty much guarantee that that's a cop, that's a state trooper, that's a police officer, that's someone in law enforcement that's looking at you specifically. I believe it's you specifically, as in if your detector picks up laser, then the frequency or whatever, that they're basically aiming it at you as opposed to someone else. So you need to slow down. I can't quantify that specifically talk as to whether or not that's true or not. But I know for a fact that if you hear laser, you need to slow down. You need to slow down immediately because that's a legit 100% of the time police officer, right? So every now and then it would give me those kind of false readings with the KA band and the K band. A lot of that has something to do with the doors at like CVS's, Walgreens, Eckert's, Rite Aid. They don't have any more Eckert's. I may be telling my age in that one. But you know what I'm saying? It gave you a lot of false alerts. I always looked at it like, you know what, false alerts or not, it's keeping me on my toes. It's keeping me from speeding and going crazy. So in a sense, it's kind of helping me out. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of the situation is it got more annoying than anything. So annoying to the point that I wouldn't plug it up. I would unplug it. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, it's useless. It's $45 that's sitting on the dash of my car, and it's a waste of money, and it's not doing anything, which is exposing me to possibly being pulled over or pulled over by a cop for speeding. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's kind of like anything else in life where you get what you pay for. If you want to pay cheap money, you're going to get a cheap product. My question to you guys is, what are you guys using? I put this in my Head Turners Car Club meet. A lot of people are using really high quality radar detectors. When I'm talking about high quality, I'm talking about anywhere between $300 to $500 radar detectors. Now, when I first heard that, I couldn't justify it. It made no sense whatsoever. There's no reason in hell you should be paying that much for a radar detector, but you have to know the kind of driver that you are. You have to know your environment, and then not to mention paying a one-time $300-400 fee for a radar detector is probably a lot better than paying, a ticket and then lawyer fees and then having to take a day off of work and having to drive down to the courthouse and all that stuff, potentially actually getting stuck with that ticket as opposed to having it thrown out or expunged. So it may be worth its investment. You know what I'm saying? So I started asking what brands are people using. Uniden and Escort is what everybody's using, man. Uniden, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Uniden, R3, R7 are the top of the line as it pertains to the Uniden brand. And the R3 is pretty much the creme de la creme. It's a little bit older. To my understanding, it came out in like July 2017. So it's a little bit older. It's about 3 years old at this point. But, police technology hasn't changed that much to where, they've upgraded their systems to where they're using different bands. I believe that they're still using the same KA laser band. I think there's another one that they use. I can't think off the top of my head, but those are the main three. So police technology hasn't evolved that much in the last 3 years to where you need the latest of the latest. If anything, it's more so just kind of a comfort to you to know that you got the brand new one. But the Uniden R3 Extreme Long Range Laser Radar Detector with GPS has the whole kit and caboodle, and they're actually selling that on Amazon for like $2.99. You know what I'm saying? Which isn't bad, but that's still $300 that you're putting into a radar detector, right? Never in my life have I spent that much on a radar detector, but people are telling me that I need to because you ultimately get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? If you want all those false alerts and false alarms and just the annoyance, you go out and get something cheap like I did. But if you want something that's quality, that can filter out those false alarms and false alerts, then you go out and get yourself something legit like a Uniden. The Uniden R7 is the most recent one. I think that one just came out like a year and a half ago. The R3 is kind of the tried and true to my understanding. Just going down the specs. Yeah, built-in GPS, voice alerts, red light, speed detector. It'll tell you how fast you're going. It'll tell you when there's a red light, radar detector, obviously. It'll record the GPS location of where you are at the time. So for instance, if there's always a police officer or something like that, or not even that, but maybe if there's always a false alarm area in your particular route, like you're going to work every day, you go the same route, and you know that there's a drugstore that always sets off your radar detector, you can basically set it to where, based off of that GPS location, it always filters out that false alarm so that you don't hear it, right? That's quality. That comes in handy because that takes care of that annoyance factor that I was talking about earlier, because it limits that, it dumbs it down so that you're not annoyed with your radar detector to the point that you want to take the damn thing out, or you know what I'm saying? When I'm listening to music, I don't want to hear my radar detector going off because I'm parked out front of a CVS. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm parked out front of a Walgreens or something. I can't tell you, with my one that I have now, which is a El Cheapo, I mean, I can be in a mall parking lot parked, and I can hear it'll go off saying that there's some kind of like fire truck or emergency vehicle going off, and I'm just sitting there looking around, nothing, quiet as the day. That's how you know it's a false alarm. That's an annoyance. That's what you don't want. That defeats the purpose. It annoys you and it pisses you off to the point that you want to unplug it, which basically means that you got a $50 paperweight sitting on the front dash of your car and it's not serving a purpose. So the Uniden R3, from what I understand, is the creme de la creme. It's a little bit older, but it does a really good job. The R7 is the newest one. I think it's a little bit bigger, probably has more features. It is more expensive. $450 is what it's selling for. Real-time alerts, dual antennas, front and rear directional arrows. I think that's the biggest upgrade for the R7, is that it's got the front and rear directional arrows, which lets you know exactly where the police officer is. So if you're on the highway getting it, and there happens to be a state trooper behind you, not only will it set off the alarm that, hey, that's a laser or a KA band, but it also lets you know it's behind you. And that takes the guesswork out, because even though these radars go off and they alert you to what's going on, based on how these state troopers are moving nowadays, these guys are hidden like, you know, like a sniper or something. Like, these guys have ghillie suits on their state trooper cars. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't know where they are. So it could be a situation where the alarm is going off or the alert is going off, but you're looking around like, where is it? I don't see it. Well, you should slow down anyway. That should be first and foremost, and then locate where the threat is coming from. You know what I'm saying? But with the Uniden R7, it has the directional arrows, and I believe it's front, back, to the right and to the left. I could be mistaken. It may just be front and back, but it should basically tell you where that signal is coming from. Is it behind you? Is he behind you somewhere, behind you and a couple cars back type deal? Or is he sitting on the side of the road ready to pick you off as you pass by him? You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing with the Uniden R7, is that it adds that feature into it. And then I think the screen's a little bit bigger than what have you. And then there's the Escort. The Escort, from what I understand, is kind of the creme de la creme as far as radar detecting companies is concerned. The Escort Max 360 is the best of the best. They got a higher end one, Escort Max 360C, that's selling right now for $650. That's legit $700 for a radar detector. That's insane. It comes with the app. The app allows you to basically program all of your settings and preferences that you would normally on the device itself. You can do it from the app, which saves you time. And I think it offers a real-time GPS look as to basically what your route looks like. So if you're on a highway, if you're in Charlotte, you're on 77, you've got the app open, you've got the Escort Max 360 doing what it do, you should be able to see on the app, okay, there's a threat ahead, your radar is about to go off, and here's where the cop is. As far as the GPS is concerned, you should be able to see the map and exactly where the police officer was. You know what I'm saying? So it adds a bit of functionality. But once again, you're paying $700 for a radar. You know what I'm saying? Is it worth it? Is it a necessity? What are you guys using out there? I know a lot of people are using the Uniden R3. That's the creme de la creme. When you go to Amazon.com, I think that thing has like 1,187 reviews, because it's legit. And when you compare it to the R7's got 236 reviews, selling for $431, and the Escort Max has got 870 reviews. So needless to say, people are talking about the Uniden R3. That is apparently the creme de la creme. That's the one everybody wants and has. What are you guys using? Do you recommend GPS? Do you recommend radar detectors? Is it a necessity? Is it a matter of me just slowing down and paying more attention and respecting the laws of the land? That's a lot easier said than done. Just want you to know that. I got a 485 horsepower car that does 185. I just want you to understand that. That's easier said than done. You feel me? Just want you to know that. I don't know if you know that, but just in case you didn't, just wanted to run that by you. That's easier said than done. But what are you guys using? Do you think it's a necessity? What should I invest in? Like, I'm literally asking you guys this question because I need to know. I've got 3 radars that I'm looking at here: the Uniden R3, R7, and the 360. I think there's a 360 and 360C. I don't know the difference between the two other than the price. So that 360 is probably in my range. But talk to your boy, man. Are you guys using any of these radar detectors? And if so, how do you feel about them? Do you think that they're worth the price? $300 is expensive for a radar detector. $650 is even more expensive for a radar detector. You feel what I'm saying? $650, that's a car payment right there. But when you do the math, one-time payment of $650 could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in court fees, legal fees, getting pulled over, ticket fees, the whole nine when it comes to getting pulled over. So it may even itself out. That's my question to you. Radars, talk to your boy. Are you using them? If you are, what are you using? Do you believe in them? Have they saved your life? I know a lot of you guys have probably, saved your life because of a radar. And if that's the case, then it pretty much serves a purpose, right? As always, it's been your boy KNOCKOUT360, man. It's hot. I'm about to get out of here, man. As you can tell, I did get a fresh cut this weekend. Your boy is back at it looking like a human being. You know what I'm saying? Instead of looking like a prisoner or something like that, a refugee of war or something like that. But as always, guys, like, subscribe, comment, talk to your boy, and I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.